The first time Zareth smashed her fist through a wall, she didn't even blink. She didn't need to. She was a 10-foot-tall apex predator from the war-bred Gorvani prime blood caste, a violet-skinned armored titan who could cleave a hovercruiser in half with her bare hands. The second time she did it, it was because someone had the audacity to flirt with her. Or rather, with the man beside her. That man was me. Name's Nox Harrow, human, former orbital scrap hauler, current ambassador in training, and apparently the personal target of a giant purple warrior's wrath. Though to be fair, her wrath wasn't aimed at me. The wall behind me cracked and crumbled, her armored gauntlet buried 1/2 meter into synthstone. "You think it's funny?" Zareth growled, baring sharp teeth in a smile that was anything but warm. "You think I can't. Hear your pheromone spike, rodent?" The Talari woman, who'd been leaning just a little too close to me at the bar, turned a shade of sea green that usually preceded vomiting in her species. She grabbed her drink and slithered away fast. "Zareth," I muttered, eyes wide, still trying to get my heart back under control. That was excessive. She turned to face me, her golden eyes flaring like twin suns. "She touched your shoulder, Nox. Do you know what that means in Talari mating culture?" "Not a clue," I said, still trying to breathe. But I doubt it meant she wanted to die. The room had gone quiet around us. Half the bar's patrons were frozen in place, unsure whether a full-out brawl was about to erupt. The bartender, a synthetic with 6 arms and no visible mouth, held up a sign that said, "Please do not destroy the infrastructure. First offense, you pay." Zareth ignored it. She leaned down, way down, and jabbed a clawed finger at my chest, pushing just hard enough to remind me how easy it would be for her to snap me in half. "You," she said in a voice so low only I could hear it, "belong to me, human." And just like that, my night went from awkward to apocalyptic. 3 weeks earlier, I hadn't even known what a Gorvani was. I'd been stuck on orbit station Trask V6, running parts for decommissioned warships and sleeping in an airlock-turned bunk room. Then Zareth burst into my life like a plasma torpedo, literally. She crashed into my scrapyard while evading bounty hunters, half her armor blown off, blood trailing like a comet's tail. Naturally, I helped her, because I'm a moron. But instead of gutting me after regaining consciousness, Zareth had grabbed me by the collar, stared into my soul with those glowing cat-like eyes and said, "You owe me now. You saved my life. You're mine." I'd assumed it was a joke. It was not. Back at the bar, Zareth finally pulled her fist from the wall and shook off the debris like it was no more than dust. The crowd started to breathe again. I coughed, trying to play it off with a laugh. "So, jealous much?" Her eyes narrowed. "You don't understand. You are claimed. Touching you is, yeah. Cultural insult, blood feud, galactic dishonor, I remember," I muttered. "Still think you should pay for the wall." "I built this bar," she said smugly. "I pay nothing." "Wait, what?" She turned away, tail flicking against my leg, an accidental brush that made the hair on my arm stand up. Not because I was scared. Well, not entirely. Zareth terrified me in a very specific way. The way a human might be terrified of falling off a skyscraper. And secretly enjoying the thrill. And lately she'd been giving me looks, not just angry ones. Hunger, curiosity. A question in her eyes I wasn't sure I wanted to answer. I followed her out of the bar and into the neon slick alley behind it. The air buzzed with hover traffic overhead and the sound of neon signs humming like electric bees. She stopped under a flickering sign in Gorvani script and turned to face me. "Nox," she said, softer now. "Why do you toy with me?" "I'm not," I said honestly. I don't know what this is." She tilted her head. "Then let me make it clear." She dropped to one knee, still tall enough to loom, and placed her hand against her armored chest. "In my culture, when we fight beside someone and survive death together, we bond. spirit and blood, and when we defend them from dishonor, that bond deepens. I slammed my fist through that wall because someone threatened what I already consider mine. My throat went dry. And what am I supposed to say to that? You don't have to say anything, she murmured. But if you want me, Knox Harrow, then say it. Say you're mine too. Her eyes were glowing again, but not with rage, with hope, and that scared me more than the wall. Before I could answer, an explosion rocked the alleyway, sirens, screams, dust, and then the bounty hunters returned. Plasma bolts lanced past as I dove behind a dumpster. Zareth didn't flinch. She was already moving, already fighting. The first hunter, a Cytherian brute with 4 arms, charged her with a war axe. Zareth caught the swing with one gauntlet and twisted. Bones cracked. The alien howled. The second tried a backshot with a needle rifle. Zareth rolled forward, seized the shooter by the neck, and slammed them into the wall, right where her fist had gone earlier. She glanced at the crater. Still warm, she muttered, grinning. I scrambled for cover, trying to shout a warning. Too late. A third hunter, cloaked, flickered into view behind me. "Knox!" she roared. And then she was there, a blur of purple and gold, intercepting the blow meant for me. Her armor took the brunt, but the blast knocked her sideways, claws skidding through metal. She hissed, fury blooming. "You dare!" She leapt. The rest of the fight was not a fight. It was a massacre. The hunters didn't stand a chance. By the time the security drones arrived, Zareth was covered in black alien blood and breathing. Hard, her muscles gleaming with heat. She looked like a goddess sculpted from fury and fire. I approached her slowly, heart hammering. "You okay?" She didn't answer. Just grabbed me by the shirt and pulled me flush against her chest plate. "Said you were mine," she growled. "Now prove you mean it." And then, God's help me, she kissed me. I didn't resist. I melted into her. When we finally broke apart, panting, the security drones hovered in awkward silence. Zareth turned and roared at them. They left. That night, back at her quarters, I sat beside her on a bench made of starship plating and tried to process everything. The kiss, the fight, the promise. "Zareth, you want to back out?" she asked, eyes sharp again. "No. I just want to understand. Why me?" She was quiet a long time. Then she said, "Because you looked at me like I was a person, not a monster. Because you didn't run. Because you made me feel like I was more than a weapon." I reached out, touched her hand. "I don't know what this is, Zareth, but I want to find out." She smiled. And for the first time, it wasn't terrifying at all. It was beautiful. Zareth had a habit of staring into space as though she were watching distant stars explode, except the stars she watched were memories, bad ones. She sat by the window now, her massive frame still bare from the waist up, armor pieces discarded like shed dragon scales across the floor. The artificial moonlight of Ventress Station bathed her violet skin in silver, casting shadows that danced over the scars etched into her body. Dozens of them. Some old, some recent. None explained. I should have been asleep, curled into the alcove. She mockingly called a guest nook. But instead, I sat on the edge of her bunk, watching her like a man studying the edge of a cliff, fascinated, frightened, and dangerously close to falling. "Do they hurt?" I finally asked. She didn't look. At me, not anymore. Some of them look fresh. They're reminders. Of what? She finally turned her glowing eyes on me. Of who I used to be. I stood up and walked toward her slowly, barefoot on cold metal. "What's that supposed to mean?" Zareth hesitated. Then she reached down and pulled a small data crystal from a slot in her belt. She held it up between 2 fingers. "This," she said, "contains my entire combat record, my war trials, my kills, the day I earned the Iron Sigil of I." Karun, she handed it to me. I didn't take it. I don't care about your kill count. Her brow furrowed. You should. Why? So I'll fear you? No, she said. So you'll know what I am. What you're touching. I already know what you are, I whispered. She stood, towering over me, muscles rippling with every movement. Then say it. I didn't blink. You're Zareth. You're mine. And I'm yours. Something cracked in her expression. An invisible wall she'd held up for years. She reached out, gently this time, and touched my face with one clawed hand. You are strange, human. Yeah, well, takes one to know one. She let out a deep, low laugh. A real one. And then the alarm blared. Incoming ship. Classified designation. Dock 7. Zareth's face turned to stone. We have to go, she said instantly. Go where? She was already pulling on her armor. That signature. It's Gorvani High Command. I blinked. You're kidding. You told me they disavowed you, branded you rogue. They did, she growled, snapping her gauntlet into place. Which means if they're here, they're not here to talk. I rushed to gear up. Not that I had much. Just a plasma cutter, a personal shield, and a thermal jacket. She tossed me a pulse pistol. You ever shot one of these? I've fixed a few. Good. Then you'll die slower. Comforting. She activated her HUD, eye movements scanning data. They're bringing a purge warden, she muttered. Sounds friendly. It's a war machine the size of a shuttle. No pilot, all vengeance. And it's here for you? She didn't answer. I followed her through the corridors of Ventra Station, my thoughts racing. Why would the Gorvani send a warden now? Was it because of me? Was it because she'd claimed a human? We reached Dock 7 just in time to see the bay doors open, and a sleek black assault cruiser drift into position like a predatory fish. Its hull gleamed with the sigils of House Krogaran, Zareth's old clan. Stay behind me, she ordered. Sure, just remind me again. What's the plan? She looked at me, her eyes not hard, but sad. There is no plan. The Purge Warden emerged like a demon from the dark. 10 feet tall, covered in jagged plates of black alloy, its central eye burned with a cruel red glow. It had no face, no voice, just weapons, plasma scythes for arms, pulse cannons on its shoulders. No heart, and it walked straight toward us. Zareth didn't flinch. I am Zareth of House Krogaran, she shouted, voice echoing across the hangar. You dare hunt me with a machine? The warden stopped. A voice hissed from hidden speakers. You are no longer of the house. You have shamed the blood. The penalty is death, Zareth growled. You sent this instead of coming yourself, coward? You are not worth the breath of the matrons. You chose a human. You degraded the bloodline. You must be erased. That hit hard. I could feel the weight of those words in her posture, her tension. But she didn't break. She stepped forward. I did not choose a human to shame the blood, she said. I chose him because he is stronger than any of you. She raised her gauntlet and charged. What followed was nothing short of chaos. The warden moved faster than I expected, almost like it anticipated her attacks. Zareth ducked the first swing of its plasma scythe, came up under the arc, and jammed her blade into its shoulder joint. Sparks flew. It didn't even scream, just retaliated with a blast from its shoulder cannon. Zareth's shield flared, holding, barely. Scrambled behind a crate, pulled out the pistol and fired. The shot ricocheted off its hull. Useless. Zareth landed a crushing punch that dented its chest plate. The warden spun, slashing wildly. She dodged one blade, but caught the other across her thigh. She went down. Zareth! I ran to her. The warden advanced, step by step, blade raised, and I did the stupidest thing I've ever done. I jumped between them. The machine paused, just for a second. Leave her alone. I shouted, leveling my pistol. You are irrelevant. And it struck. I didn't see the blade. I saw a flash of light. Felt my body flung sideways like a rag doll. Everything went white. And then I heard a roar. Not from the warden. From her, Zareth surged to her feet with a cry that split the station's hull sensors. Her body glowed, literally glowed, with pulsing orange energy as her armor released its safety inhibitors. Her gauntlets burned like twin suns. You. Hurt. Him. She moved. Like a meteor. I barely registered the impact before the warden's body crumpled, split open like a tin can. Its core cracked, its limbs scattered. Zareth stood in the wreckage, breathing hard, eyes ablaze. She turned to me. I was bleeding. Bad. But I was alive. She fell to her knees beside me, cradling me like I was something breakable. "You're not supposed to die," she whispered. "Neither are you," I coughed. "Why did you jump in front of it?" "I'm a human," I said, smiling weakly. "We do stupid things when we're in love." Her eyes went wide. I said it, I rasped. "I meant it." She leaned down, her face inches from mine. "You're mine," she whispered. "But now, I'm yours too." And then, she kissed me again, fiercely, as alarms screamed and the pieces of the warden burned around us. Later, as station medics patched me up and her injuries were nano-sealed, we sat in silence, side by side. The warden was destroyed, but the message had been sent. "They'll come again," she said. "I know. You'll be hunted too." I nodded. "I'd rather be hunted with you than be safe without you." She looked at me like I was the first star she'd ever seen. "You are a fool, definitely." Then she leaned her head against mine. "But you're my fool." It was never quiet after a warden dies. Every sensor on Ventra Station screamed. Emergency lights stuttered. Broadcast frequencies filled with static and scrambled voices. And worst of all, the news spread. Zareth's betrayal wasn't hidden anymore. She hadn't just rejected her clan. She fought back, killed a purge warden with her bare hands, protected a human with her own body. To the Gorvani aristocracy, that wasn't just rebellion. That was blasphemy, and the clan would not let it go unanswered. We knew it even before Zareth said it aloud. As she sealed the dock doors with fused metal and rerouted the hangar AI to lock out further landings, I watched her face go darker than I'd ever seen. "They'll send someone worse than a warden," she muttered. "Who could be worse?" Her voice was cold steel. "My sister." We fled Ventra Station within the hour. Zareth stole a courier ship from a smuggler she knew. Probably more than just knew, judging by the glare the woman shot her as we launched. The ship wasn't pretty, but it was fast and shielded. She set the autopilot toward the unbound rim, a patch of space barely regulated by any authority, hidden behind collapsing jump gates and decaying stars. Pirates, exiles, and ghosts lived there. Seemed fitting. I watched her as she piloted, focused, her jaw clenched, that old Gorvani scar on her temple twitching with every twitch of her fingers. "You haven't told me about her," I said. "Your sister." Zareth didn't look at me. "Her name is Virel. She's the Blade Matron now. Took the seat after our mother died." "Matron. So she's in charge of your whole clan?" Zareth nodded. "She was always stronger than me. Meaner, too. And if she's coming, she won't send a drone," Zareth finished. "She'll come herself, with her hand-picked war retinue. And when she arrives, she won't leave until one of us is dead." I sat back in the co-pilot's chair, the weight of that pressing down hard. "We could just run." She turned her head, and there was something almost soft in her expression. "I've been running for a long time, human. I'm tired of it." 2 days passed. We reached the edge of the rim and docked on a derelict asteroid station called Slag Point Theta, home to mercs, scavvers, and those who wanted to be left alone. Zareth had allies here, old contacts from her bounty hunting days. One of them, a 3-armed Devarathi named Pox, offered us a room and a warning. "Your sister's name came over the black channels," he grunted, handing Zareth a spiked drink. "There's a kill bounty on you, not just official, personal." 1 million credits, no questions asked. Zareth just downed the drink. Then I guess I'll have to make an example. I asked Pox for something stronger. That night, in the rusting chamber we called a bed, I watched her sleep, or pretend to. The tension in her muscles, even at rest, told me she was waiting, always alert, like she didn't know how to stop fighting. Reached out and gently traced a finger over the scar across her ribs. She opened one eye. Don't. I wasn't judging. I know. I paused. She hurt you, didn't she? She didn't answer for a long time. Finally. Varel taught me everything I know, including how to survive a blade through the gut. I was 15. Zareth. She turned fully, facing me in the dark. We were raised in blood and drills. Every meal came with a bruise. Love was weakness. Kindness got you exiled. Varel excelled in that world. I learned to wear armor on the inside. You don't have to wear it with me. Her hand moved to my chest. You're the only person who's ever seen me without it, she said. And that terrifies me, more than her. Varel arrived the next morning. No warning, no broadcast, just fire. Slag point. Theta shook under the first blast. One of the outer turrets vaporized before alarms could sound. The mercs scattered like roaches. The sky lit up red. Zareth grabbed her gear without a word. I followed, pulse pistol strapped to my leg. Pox met us in the corridor, bleeding from his side. She brought Aver blades, he hissed. Elite psychos, half cybernetics, half poison. They already took the command deck, Zareth swore. How many? A dozen. Varel's with them. Zareth looked at me. You're not coming this time. I didn't move. The hell I'm not. Human. No. I'm tired of hiding behind you. We do this together. Or not at all. She stared at me like she wanted to argue, but something in her face changed. Resigned, proud, maybe even afraid. She nodded once. Then stay behind my left flank. That side's shielded. Got it. And if she gets her blade near your throat, punch her. In the face? Zareth grinned. Good man. The command deck was a war zone. Bodies littered the floor, mercs torn apart, blood mixing with sparks. The Aver blades moved like panthers, their armor dark as void light, faces hidden behind steel masks with glowing red lines. Zareth didn't hesitate. She charged into the first one and broke his neck with a spinning elbow before he could react. It was like watching lightning in combat boots. I followed, ducking blasts and firing when I could. One blade rushed me. I shot him point blank in the knee. Zareth finished him with a kick to the throat, and then Varel arrived. She stepped through. A wall of fire like a myth come to life. Taller than Zareth by at least half a foot. Her skin a darker shade of indigo, armor carved with ancient Gorvany runes. Her eyes glowed silver, her hair bound in gold coils. She held two curved blades that hummed with dark energy. Sister, she said. Zareth stood tall. Varel, you look soft. Zareth smiled grimly. You look old. Varel laughed, and the sound made my skin crawl. You brought a human, Varel spat. You let him touch you. Disgraceful. Zareth stood between us. Touching him made me stronger than you'll ever be. Blasphemy. No, Zareth growled. Truth. And then they fought. If the warden was a machine of death, Varel was art. Every motion calculated, every strike timed to kill. But Zareth matched her, rage and skill blended into one. Their blades clashed like thunder, sparks flew, steel sang. I tried to help, fired shots to drive back the Aver blades that circled us. Got slashed once, just a graze. But I didn't fall. Zareth saw it. That moment of distraction cost her. Varel slipped past her guard and drove a blade into Zareth's side. I screamed. Zareth dropped to one knee, blood pouring. Varel raised her other blade. Goodbye, sister. But before she could strike, I fired. Not at her, at the ceiling. The beam struck a ruptured power conduit. The station's gravity failed. We all floated. Varel's blade missed as she tumbled. Zareth rose, fury in her eyes, and used the weightlessness to launch herself forward, faster than ever before. She crashed into Varel, blade first. The scream that followed would haunt me for years, when gravity re-engaged. Varel hit the floor in a broken heap. Zareth stood over her, bleeding, panting. "Stay down," she growled. Varel coughed, blood bubbling from her mouth. "This isn't over." "No," Zareth said. "It's just beginning." She turned to me. "You still with me?" I grinned through the pain. "Always." And she didn't wait. She scooped me into her arms, ran for the evac port, and we barely made it off Slag Point Theta before it exploded behind us, one last insult from Varel's dying ship. We drifted in a stolen escape pod for hours. Zareth bled all over me. I held pressure on her wounds and whispered every dumb human phrase I could think of. Eventually she opened her eyes. "You risked everything for me," she said. "You've done the same." 100 times. "No," she said. "Not like this." Then she pulled something from her armor, a jagged ring of dark stone, threaded on a cord. "This was my clan token. You're supposed to give it only to the one you intend to die beside." She placed it in my hand. I blinked. "Is this a marriage thing?" She smiled. "Sort of." And then, faintly, shyly, "If you want it." I stared at her, purple-skinned warrior, broken and bleeding, fierce and beautiful and mine. "I do." The escape pod drifted for what felt like an eternity. Zareth lay across from me, her armor cracked, skin split at the ribs, her blood staining everything violet black. I'd done what I could, stitched her with field foam, wrapped her side with bandages made from my own shirt, even used the pod's emergency stim to stabilize her vitals. Still, she was fading, but even half dead, Zareth refused to be helpless. She dragged herself upright and grabbed the pod's comm panel. "Varel's fleet will think we died in that blast. We've bought a little time, but only that." "Time for what?" I asked. She turned toward me, eyes sharp despite the pain. "To build something they can't kill. We found refuge on Orpheon 9, a gravity-warped jungle moon hidden deep in the fractured belt. It wasn't on any official star charts, just a name whispered by deserters and smugglers as a ghost world. Half of it was overgrown ruins, the other half barely habitable, perfect for starting over. With the help of Pox, who miraculously survived the Slag Point blast, we set up a makeshift outpost in the skeletal remains of a fallen orbital tower. Pox brought others, rogue mechanics, cybernetics, ex-soldiers who'd grown tired of orders. People like us. Zareth called them Freebloods. A new clan. Not one you're born into, one you choose. The weeks passed in a blur of rebuilding and pain. Zareth healed slowly, her ribs knitting back with the help of regrowth patches. I trained daily with the stolen Ava blade she gifted me, learned Gorvani combat stances and pressure point strikes. We ran drills together in the shattered courtyard, and we argued a lot. "You're telegraphing your swings," she said one day, knocking my blade aside easily. "You always pull left. And you always grunt when you're about to faint," I shot back. She grinned. "You're getting cocky. Only when I know you're holding back. Want me to prove I'm not?" "I dare you." We ended up tangled in the dirt, laughing and breathless, lips pressed together like it was the only language left we trusted. But peace never lasts forever. Our scout relay caught the transmission 3 weeks later. Varel's death hadn't ended the Gorvani purge efforts. It had accelerated them. The clan now considered Zareth not just a traitor, but a heretic. Worse, they'd placed a bounty not only on her, but on me. A defiler of sacred blood, they called me. Zareth read the bounty aloud and spat into the jungle. "They fear what we are." "You mean together?" "I mean free." The night before the siege, we sat atop the ruin tower and watched the 3 moons of Orpheon rise through the clouds. Our people, our clan, worked below us, unaware of the incoming fleet. Only we knew the scale of it. 5 carriers, dozens of skirmish ships, at least 1 Void Reaper cruiser. I felt sick. We can't win this, I said. We don't need to win, Zareth replied. We just need to end it. She handed me something, a polished, obsidian-like medallion, etched with an ancient Gorvani symbol. Is that your family crest? She nodded. I'm giving it to you. What? You're not just part of my clan anymore, she said. You are the clan. When this is over, if I don't survive, you lead them. Don't say that. I mean it. No. I stepped close, took her hands in mine. You're not dying on me. We're building something here. Together. Zareth studied my face like it was her first sunrise. Then she leaned in and kissed me like it was war and peace all at once. The battle hit at dawn. The Gorvani fleet dropped through the sky in molten arcs, burning clouds and sending shockwaves across the forest. Dropships pierced the canopy like steel daggers. A swarm of Ava blades poured out, their crimson optics lighting the gloom. Zareth donned her black armor, the same that once marked her as warden. Now it bore the Freeblood sigil, a broken chain entwined with a vine. I stood beside her, rifle charged, blade at my side. I never imagined, she whispered, that I'd face my own people with a human at my back. And I never imagined I'd fall in love with a 10-foot purple warrior woman with anger issues, she laughed. I'll kill anyone who says that out loud. Deal. The fighting was brutal. We lured the blades into the ruins, forced them into tight quarters where their numbers meant less. Our people fought like devils, grizzled mercs and scavengers defending something bigger than coin for once. I lost track of the bodies, of time. Then I heard her scream, Zareth. I spun, saw her. Across the courtyard, pinned by a Gorvani enforcer twice her size. Her blade was gone. Blood streaked her face. I didn't think. I charged. Bullets tore past me. I slammed into the enforcer, stabbed upward with everything I had. The blade sank to the hilt. The monster dropped. Zareth caught herself on my shoulder. I told you. I panted. You're not dying on me. She gripped my jaw and kissed me in front of everyone. Half the jungle probably saw. Let them. Hours later, the battle was over. Our wounded lay in rows. Fires burned. But we stood. The Gorvani retreated, leaderless, fractured. Some even surrendered. And the message was clear. The old clans could no longer kill what they no longer controlled. Weeks later, we stood before the gathered Freebloods. Over. 300 strong now. Exiles, outcasts, former slaves. Humans and aliens both. Zareth stood at my side, wrapped in ceremonial cloth. Her wounds now old scars. This isn't a clan of blood, she declared, voice loud across the stone amphitheater. It's a clan of choice, of bond, of will. She looked at me. I once belonged to a house of war. Now I belong to one of hope. And I have no title but this. She turned to me fully. Mate. The crowd held its breath, and I said, my clan is you now. Then we kissed, and